this point, we still hadn't made up our decision if we were going home or not. Because she did tell us, she was like, if you guys want to go home, you can go home. She did tell us that. And it was our decision whether we wanted to go back home and have the baby at home or not. So then this is why it's called a preference, not a birth plan. On top of the meconium and the water, on top of me not being able to have this baby at home like we have been planning for 9 months, like nothing was going as it was supposed to go, and it was frustrating me. We didn't have a doctor that we wanted, and so at this point I was like, whatever, let's just roll with the punches. Let's just roll. And so yeah, we're at this point, we're chilling. Like, I think that I got up to, I don't know what we were chilling. We were in there chilling.
So I was doing some work.
Yeah, I'm in there like doing my squats, trying to get her in position. I remember dancing. And so I was moving around so much that like he said, they knew that I wanted to labor independently. I didn't want to be bothered. I didn't want to be touched. So I wasn't hooked up to any cords, none of that.
They gave her a wireless fetal monitor.
Yeah, they put a little fetal monitor on my belly. And I remember dancing and doing lunges and squats and all this, and exercising and walking up and down the hall. I remember doing all this, and the first time I remember the nurse bust in like, what's going on? Why is her heart rate so high? And then she saw me like dancing, and she was like, oh, okay. And she left. And after that, we were literally not bothered at all. They literally respected our birth preference to a T. To a T.
Shout out to y'all.
I started having contractions, and they didn't. They were easy. They at this point, they didn't hurt. I would just pause. So I was like, y'all, I was strolling. But no, I was dancing, and I'd be like, hold on. And then come back to life and do it all over again. Yeah. And
so the nurse ended up coming in one time because Lauren had a pretty decent sized contraction, and the nurse came in and was, showing us like, hey, she had this contraction and the baby's heart rate kind of dropped a little bit, and then came back up. So she was like, we don't like this. We don't like drops. She was like, but as long as it rebounds, within a few seconds and gets back up, then you're fine.
Thank God for you, because I so forgot about that.
So when she told me that, I'm like,
his eyes
glued.
From that moment, the whole time he was like,
I'm like eyes glued
watching
the fetal heart rate monitor.
Yes.
I'll promise.
And at this point, he freaking me. I'm like, what you looking at? What you see? Because I'm free, And so I'm just la 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 dee 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 dee, And I don't panic, and I'm kind of like, it is what it is. Whatever's rolling, we gonna just roll with it, And so he's more of the business mindset of numbers and all that, and I'm more of a, yeah, that makes sense. I hope that makes sense.
You more of a what?
Yeah. I'm more.
So yeah, so she's like in her own world. I'm like watching the rate, heart rate monitor. So she have a contraction, Charlie's heart rate would go down, and then it will come back up.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, all right, cool, we good. Everything, we doing well. She's laboring, and so they came in and checked her. They're like, okay, you're this many centimeters dilated. You're looking pretty good. Whatever. Keep doing what you're doing. You're good. So she's in there still doing her thing, dancing, squatting, lunging. Her and Josiah doing lunges across the room. And I'm sitting there, eyes fixated on the
machine.
Fetal heart rate monitor. I'm not playing, y'all. Like, I promise I didn't look up.
The entire time.
The entire time, probably.
I remember when my contractions started getting heavy, they were back to back. Like, they were on top of each other.
Yeah.
So I would have a contraction and literally go, and before I could let that breath out, I was having another one. And she came in and she was like, that's happening because she's trying to get in position. She's not in the right position. Yeah. So this is what I need you to do. So at this point, we have a nurse who saw my birth preference, and she was like, I want her.
Yeah.
And so
this is probably, so we got to the hospital probably.
Oh, I don't know the numbers.
We got to the hospital probably about 10 a.m. if I had to guess. And then they did shift change at, I think, like 7 p.m. Or was it earlier than that?
Mm-hmm.
You don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think they did shift change at 7 p.m. So we had the one nurse the whole time, and then she came in. She was like, "Hey, I'm about to get off. You're gonna have this new nurse." So the new nurse that came in,
she was like, "I chose."
That's what she was saying. She saw Lauren's birth preference and saw that she, wanted to do things naturally. And so she came in. She like busted in the room.
She was like, "I love you." She was like, "I chose you." But yeah, she came in and she introduced herself. She told us that she said she saw that I had a birth preference, and she looked at it and she liked it, and she was like, "I want her."
Because she's like natural.
Mm-hmm.
And,
we had a good conversation. We had a really good conversation. But and she's the one who came in and told us that she explained why my contractions were sitting on top of each other, and she said, "This is what I want you to do." And she came in with a brand new peanut ball, gave me a peanut ball. She said, "Do this, do it like this with your legs, and that'll get that baby in position. I want you to do this." They needed the baby to get in the correct position because she wasn't in the correct position. And she was on top of something. I don't remember. So she brings in the peanut ball and she's trying to reposition me, and basically she's doing all that she can to help me be able to get the baby in the correct position. And then our doula was helping as well. He was stressing me out.
What?
Whew, he was stressing me out.
How?
Because it's something that you wanted me to do and I wasn't having it.
Man, so look,
what did you want me to do?
So as her labor was progressing, right? At this point, it's like, I don't know, 9 o'clock. So she was in labor for a while. And
I was tired.
Tired.
Remember, I started off on 10. Like, I was like, "Ooh, we gonna do this." I'm doing squats. I'm dancing. I was on everything.
She burning herself out.
I was dang near doing burpees.
Like, I tried to tell her. She didn't want to listen.
I know. He was all here for it. And then he started seeing how tired. Like, I was literally physically getting exhausted. The thing was, every time I tried to rest, a contraction would hit. So it was like, whew, I'm exhausted. Let me just sit down for a minute. As soon as I would try to break, a contraction would hit. So there was no in between. It was like, just get up, and because the contractions hurt less when I was up and moving around. So I was like, I can't sit down. I gotta go. Like, I gotta keep moving. So that's my mentality I had. So that's what I kept doing.
But she was exhausted though, and she was like sleepwalking.
Yeah, I was.
Like, she almost fell over one time.
I was a zombie. I was a zombie at one point. I was a zombie.
And so I'm trying to get her. So she's not, the doula was telling us about a bunch of different positions that help.
It's something particular that y'all wanted me to do, and I wasn't having.
I was trying to get her. This is it. So the doula said one position that can help open her hips up is if she sits backwards on the chair or sits on the toilet backwards, and she can kind of rest her head on the back of the chair.
I love that.
No, you didn't.
I think he was trying to get me to do squats. I think he wanted me to do squats, and I remember looking up at him because I was on the chair. I remember looking up at him, and I was like, "If you tell me to do a squat one more time, I'm gonna sock you in your chest." I remember, like, it was squats. You wanted me to do squats, and I was not having it.
Yeah, because I was trying to get her to open her hips up, but she wasn't.
At this point, I was like, I ain't trying to do no more squats. I'm tired. And I just remember he kept saying over and over, "Baby, you have to do squats.
Squats or lunges,
baby,
or
you
something.
Need to do your squats. Babe, come on, let's get up and do squats. Babe, we gotta do squats." And I was so irritated. If I heard him say the word squat one more time, I was tired. I was really tired.
Squat.
But I distinctly remember sitting on the chair backwards, like my arms like this, and I'm on the chair. Did I move the chair?
Contraction hit, she would get up because it hurt. And so
it felt better when I was moving around. Okay, so it felt so much better when I got up and moved around instead of just sitting on the contraction or laying down on the contraction. Yeah, I wasn't having that.
So one of the positions the doula told her about, like I was just mentioning, was sitting backwards on the chair. Because it helps open your hips up. So I had her sit down on the chair. So she sat down on the chair, and I was massaging her lower back. And a contraction hit. And I was trying to get her to stay seated and kind of just breathe through the contraction. I will not have it.
That's what it was.
She went straight.
He was trying to force me to stay in that chair.
I was like, babe. I said, babe, okay, listen.
Because I was tired, so he
babe,
wanted me to chill.
I said, babe, next contraction, we're going to breathe through it. You're going to stay sitting down or whatever. She wasn't trying to hear none of that.
And what's crazy is that's what I practiced for. That's exactly what I prepared for. I knew exactly how I was supposed to breathe. I did my breathing exercise. I took a class, y'all. I took a class over breathing exercises, and I they came in handy. I used them, but not for majority of. I wasn't having that. It's something about it. Okay, it helps when you prepare for this. Prepare for anything. It definitely helps, baby. When you get in that joint, it's a different story. It's a different story.
Cause I'm trying to get her. I'm like,
I took a whole class over how to breathe. Like we took a class over how to breathe alone. We took so many classes, but I distinctly remember our class over breathing, and he's doing it with me, and I'm like, that we wasn't doing that.
She's supposed to take her mouth. We did a whole exercise where you're supposed to hold an ice cube for 30 seconds.
No.
And you just take your mouth somewhere else, and it helps with the pain.
No.
All this stuff
it
that
helps.
It
did help, but that particular contraction, it hit a point. Like I was good. It was helping me on my dances and stuff. That got me through. I hit a certain point. It was when they were on top of each other. That's what it was. It was the fact that I'm breathing through this. They wouldn't stop. It just wouldn't stop. I'm breathing through this, and I got through it. And I know as soon as I let out that last breath, it's gonna happen again. So it was literally contraction. It was like contraction, a 1 minute break, contraction, a 1 minute break. That was my life for like 3 hours straight. And that was exhausting. Yeah. And so he wanted me to sit on this chair with my legs open backwards, just like this. And he wanted me to breathe through it.
Shorty, what happened?
I distinctly remember him trying to hold. Have you lost your mind? I just got mad. Because when you really think about it, like, what is wrong with you? I remember him trying to distinctly. I was like,
babe, no, stay down.
Holding my shoulders down. And trying to get me to stay in that chair. And I threw the chair. I'm sitting on the chair, and he's like, no, babe. And I remember he puts his hands on my shoulders, and he's trying to hold me down like he has lost his mind.
I did it gently, though.
He held my shoulders down. So I distinctly remember him holding my shoulders down, and he's talking calm. I was like, and I just remember tossing the chair across to get it from under my body so that I can move, because that was literally me moving was the only way that I wasn't in pain. I was exhausted. I remember finally like, okay, I'm gonna lay down. And then, you know what else I said? I remember saying, we're not going home. We're having a baby.
Duh.
So yeah. So
I mean, at this point, it had been like
9 hours.
I was like, yeah, we staying, bro.
And so, so my contractions are doubling, and then there's no wait time between them. So I'm dying, and it's not even the pain at this point. It's not the pain that's killing me. It's my exhaustion. So I remember laying down, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna finally take a nap. So I remember laying down. And before I can even close one eye, contraction. So I would just jump up. Every time a contraction hit, I just jumped out of the bed. I just jump up because I had to get rid of the pain. So yeah, I was laying down, jumping up, laying down, jumping up, laying down, jumping up, right? The nurse comes in, and this is maybe her third time coming in, saying, do you want to get Pitocin? Because how many hours? At what point are we in labor? How many hours?
Keep in mind now, this has to be about midnight, December 3rd. So she's been in labor for more than 12 hours. And she's only, I think, 5 centimeters dilated.
Oh my God, y'all.
She's full.
I would not
She's fully
move.
effaced. She's fully effaced, but she's only 5 centimeters dilated.
And when she said, I remember her coming in. She's like, I can what did she say? I can break it for you. Do you want me to break the seal? I can go in and break it for you. I was like, no. I want my body to do it by itself. I want to be natural as I can. I want this to happen by itself. And she's like, okay.
Do you, boo-boo?
Do you, boo-boo? Whatever you want to do, you dummy. Whatever you want to do. So, I mean, she didn't say that, but I'm pretty sure she was thinking it. But so, cause she was like this. I'm literally right there. Do you want me to go ahead and break it? I was like, and so yeah, I told her not to do it, but she kept coming in, y'all. She kept coming in. She came in maybe the 4th time, and she checked me. Cause also, I did not want to constantly be checked. Like no, like I didn't want her to keep. I didn't want her to keep shoving her fingers inside of me. Okay, I didn't want her to keep checking me. I didn't want it to happen. So when I did allow her to check me, I was like, this is it. I know I gotta be close. And he like, we been here for some time. I know she gotta be close.
4 centimeters.
I don't even think I ever got to 5. Did I ever get to 5 centimeters?
No, this is the thing. They told us she was at 5.
Came back.
And then it came back later and said she was
No, that was the nurse. The nurse told us we was at 5. Came back and the doctor was like, yeah, you're about 4 centimeters. Excuse me, ma'am. What was? Yeah, that was really frustrating. That was really, really frustrating.
Shawty was not moving.
That she was not moving, and yeah, she was stubborn. The girl wanted to stay. She wasn't having it, right? So the doctor told the nurse. She was like, the doctor asked me to ask you, do you want to do Pitocin? It's not epidural, but it's Pitocin. Do you want to do Pitocin?
She said, we'll give you a small dose because she had been in labor for so long.
And she saw that I was exhausted.
So she was like, we'll give you a small dose to try to help, get it along. Do you want to do it?
No. I was like, no. That's okay. She came back and she asked me again. I was like,
an hour later.
Give me the. I'll take it.
Yeah,
give me
an
the
hour
Pitocin.
later, she came back and was like, do you want to do it? And I'm over here like this.
The whole time, no, I did.
She said,
I was okay with doing the Pitocin. I was totally okay with that.
Get out my damn face and give me that Pitocin. I was like, cool.
Yeah, so
she'll take it.
She gave me the Pitocin. As soon as she gave it to me, I lay down and went to sleep for maybe a minute and a half, right? So I lay down.
Meanwhile, she goes to sleep. I'm still hot.
I was not asleep for a whole 60 seconds.
No, all I'm saying, you finally laid down. I'm still Hawkeye's on the
He's still watching
heart rate monitor.
And I'm not watching it whatsoever. Like, he got me.
And so
yeah.
She lays down, right? It probably wasn't even, what?
I think I laid down for like 62 seconds. Tops. Baby, that Pitocin is something. It worked, baby. It worked.
So she laid down, literally. And the contraction came.
Baby, when I say
like she said,
the contraction came.
The contraction hit, right?
Like that. What?
And so
what?
all day long, like we've been saying, when the contraction hit, Charlie's heart rate drop, come right back. That was how it went all day long. So it always came back up. So I was like, all right, we good.
And this was our norm. Okay, so pause. Let's put a pin in it. The very first time when the nurse ran inside, she ran inside. Mind you, at this point, I'm just getting there. I'm dancing. Like we watched a whole YouTube video where I'm like dancing my butt off. She ran in the room and was like, what's going on? Why is her heart rate so low? And she sees me and she's like, oh, okay. And then she leaves. So that kept happening. The heart rate kept dropping, going up. The heart rate kept going up because
your heart rate kept
going up. My heart rate kept going. No, the baby's too. Hers was mimicking mine. Yeah. So our heart rates kept going up because I was so active, right? And so when she seen why, she was like, oh, okay. So she planted this seed in our heads, that when this was happening, it was okay because we see what's going on. So they were like, after that, they were like coming in monitoring the heart rate a bit, but they weren't like, they saw that it was jumping, but they were like, oh, okay, it's okay. So after she gave me this Pitocin, I it's like, I really do feel like I got this amazing amount of sleep. I guess because I was just so tired and I hadn't gotten any sleep or rest or anything for so long that 62 seconds or whatever it was, it felt like a lifetime. Like, I really do feel like I laid down and was like, finally. And then after that, it was go time.
So she lays down. I see the contraction happen.
Mm-hmm.
Baby's heart rate drops. I'm like, okay, cool. It'll come back up.
And that was that. Oh my god.
And so it dropped.
I was in
to
pain. Like, I was in pain.
So they say like normal baby's heart rate is like anywhere from 120 to 150 beats per minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then when the contraction would hit, it would drop to about 90, 95, and then it'll come back up. So contraction hit, it drops to 95. I'm like, cool. Drops to 85. I'm like,
pause. While this is happening, mind you, this whole time, I never watched the fetal heart rate.
yeah,
never.
She didn't know what was going on.
I never paid attention.
She was oblivious.
I was oblivious to all of this, all of the numbers and stuff and all that. I wasn't paying attention to that at all. Even when she was coming in freaking out, I was like, do you, girl? I wasn't paying no mind. It was him and the nurses like keeping their eyes on it, and it was what it was.
So it dropped to 85. I'm like, and then it drops to 75. I'm like, all right. And then it goes to 50. And at this point, I'm like, all right, yeah, something's not right. And before I could even before I could even gasp or get ready to freak out, the nurse is busting in the door.
And this, yo, okay, I'm exhausted. I'm in pain. At this point, I'm in severe pain. I'm exhausted. And I'm not able to process, if that makes sense. I can't process what's going on. So on top of all that, I'm kind of slow right now. Literally slow. She busts in the room and the first thing she says is, whatever you're doing, the baby doesn't like it. You need to flip now. She's saying this, but her hands are doing it, if that makes sense. She's not giving me, I understand the situation. I'm just saying, think about how I'm processing this. I'm like, oh, okay, I need to flip. But before I could process that I need to flip, she flipping my body, right? So I think I was laying.
She was laying on her left side.
Yeah. I'm laying on my side,
and the
right?
nurse flips her to
so
the other
before
side.
I could, like, I understand that this is now. Okay, let's make that evident. I understand now. At this moment in time, I was not paying attention to the monitor. So I'm like, girl, chill. Like, we good, right? This is my mindset. The whole time, I swear to God. I'm like, calm down. It's okay. Just chill. So she's like, I'm laying on my left side. And she's like, whatever you're doing, the baby doesn't like it. You need to flip now. And before I could try to flip, her hands and she was already on me. So she flips me. So she flips me to my right side. And I just remember being tossed. And she's like, she still doesn't like that. You need to flip. Before she can say you need to flip on your back, she flipped me on my back. And I'm still having this mindset of, girl, like, the heart rate is supposed to be 150. What is it supposed to be? 130, 140, whatever. I'm like, it's supposed to be in 120 or whatever. It's just 90. Like, calm down. And so this whole time I have this mindset that the heart rate is like 95, 80, you know? And I'm like, it'll go back. So she's flipping me. She flipped me a total of 4 times. I was on my left side, she flipped me on my right side. I was on my right side, she flipped me on my back. I was on my back, she turned me around and told me to get on my hands and knees. She told me this, but as she's telling me this, she's doing it. So she's like, hands and knees. And she flips me on my hands and knees. And then she says, it's not working. Flip her on her back. Before she said flip her on her back and she flipped me, a swarm of nurses are in the room.
It was like 4 nurses that ran in.
They just ran in the room like ready to go. And so, mind you, I still have this mindset of, girl, it's like 95. Like, calm down.
She still has no idea.
I have no idea. So
and at this point, the heart rate is down to like 40.
Okay, and I did not know this at all, and so I'm just like,
so all the nurses.
What an attitude, and I'm in pain.
She has an attitude because she's getting flipped. Her nurse is trying to get the baby's heart rate regulated and get her into a position. The other nurses are running in. The doctor comes in, and the doctor sees how low the heart rate is. The doctor was like, all right, we need to get this baby out right now.
Right. And so my baby wasn't ready. The Pitocin was like, girl, get out of here. And she was like, no. And so I'm being flipped like a pancake. I'm literally just being flipped back and forth with this whole mindset of, this hurts. Like, why is she playing? Like, chill. It's just 95, 80, you know? And so before I could look up, the nurse jumps on top of me. And she's literally doing this to my belly. Like, I just remember laying there and I'm like, ow! And I remember her saying, I'm sorry, baby. And she's literally like CPRing my stomach, but she's trying to push the baby out of me. And all I remember after being flipped, all I remember is her literally just jumping on top of me in squat position, going like this. I remember the doctor saying, I need the vacuum. And I remember seeing her hands. I'm laying there and I'm looking down. I remember seeing the doctor like this, and she's yelling, I need a vacuum. I see all these nurses in the room. He's there, and I still don't have this mindset of something bad is happening. I have not processed this yet. I look at him. At this point, he has tears in his eyes. And I'm like, I still have this mindset of, girl, it's just 95. Like, chill. And like, oh my gosh. And so the nurse is on top of me. She's doing this to my belly. The doctor's asking for a vacuum. And before I knew it, she shoves her whole arm into me to break Charlie's shoulder.
You ain't got no shoulder no more? That's tough.
On top of me, pushing her. So the nurse is pushing. The doctor shoves her life inside of me, breaks my baby's arm, and to pull her out. Guess what, y'all? The baby had shoulder dystocia. So literally going back, everything the doula taught us is what happened. Or the negative part, at least. Like, she told us all the good, of course. And she taught us all of the bad stuff that can come with, like, this is emergent. This is what needs to happen, and blah, 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 blah. Everything actually happened. And meconium in the water. Shoulder dystocia. And it's just, when you really think about it, it's like that, like, God, like, but God.
Lauren suffered a 4th degree tear with that. And so I'm stuck in a position where I'm like, okay, I have my wife right here, and I have my lifeless baby girl right here. And I'm like stuck between the two, you know, like, okay, where do I go, right? Who needs my attention more? And so I'm asking the doctor, like, Doc, is Lauren okay? She's like, yeah, she's fine. You know, she suffered a tear. We're going to have to sew her up. And I'm like, well, is she going to be okay? She's like, yeah, she'll be fine. Like, her heart rate is fine. You know, it's a little elevated right now because of everything that just happened, but she's going to be fine. So I'm looking at Lauren like, baby, you good? She's like, yeah, I'm good. She's like, I haven't heard her cry. So she's like, go and see if she's okay. So that's all I needed to hear. I'm like, okay, cool. She's good. She's like, yeah, go, go, go. So I go to the incubator, and they're doing like little chest compressions on her, and they give her the oxygen mask, and they're trying to get her to start breathing. So I'm sitting there and I'm praying like, God, please just breathe life into my baby.
Save my baby.
And literally at that moment, her skin the color starts to come back into her skin, and she moves, and she starts to do a little faint cry. And I'm like, thank you, Jesus.
And at this point, I still don't even know what happened and what's going on. Like, I'm still lost in the world.
Yeah.
And so it wasn't until we heard the first cry that the doctor is like, okay, let me explain to you.
Because like everybody was like still. And then she finally started crying. And so while she's, like she started crying. And so obviously hook her up to the heart rate monitor to make sure her heart rate is where it should be and to make sure she's breathing the way she should. Now I'm like, okay, my baby went from not breathing at all. Now she's breathing, but she's not getting enough oxygen. And so I'm like literally standing over the incubator like, come on, baby girl, you got her. Like, you got it. Come on, baby girl, breathe, breathe, breathe. And that was the first time I touched her hand. Because the nurse was like, yeah, you can hold her hand. So I put my finger in her hand. And this is when I knew my baby was a fighter, because in the midst of all of that, she wrapped her hand around my finger. And so she's holding my finger.
I never heard you say that before.
Yeah, so she's holding my finger during this whole thing, and she's crying. I'm like, come on, baby, you got it, you got it. And I'm freaking out because I'm like, okay, she's not getting enough oxygen. Like, come on, Jesus. Like, I know you didn't bring her back to life just to take her from us. Like, I know you're gonna do it. Just come on, Lord. Like, you playing a little bit right now. Like, just, And so, come to find out, the oxygen monitor they had on her, because she was moving so much, it wasn't picking up her reading. When they held her arm still, her oxygen rate was up in the 90s where it needed to be. Okay. And so they held her arm still for probably about 2 minutes, and it was consistently in 90. So they were like, okay, it's just the machine. Like, she's fine. So by this point, they're like, she's good. And literally, I was like, it was the pediatrician in there, and it was like 2 or 3 nurses over there with me. And they're like, oh, she's fine. They were like, she's beautiful. Her color's coming in well. She's crying. She's breathing well. And I was like, she's good? And they said, yeah, she's fine. And I said, are you sure she's fine? They said, yeah, she's fine. And I literally sat down and just sobbed. Aww. Because that was so much. Like, my wife was like, I just literally didn't know. I thought for a split second that I could have lost them both in that moment. And so I was just overwhelmed with emotion and gratitude to God, because literally, had it not been for God, baby girl wouldn't have been here. And my wife might not have been here.
What's so mind-blowing is the pediatrician, Dr. O, and somebody else, I want to say one of the nurses, I remember after everything was said and done, I want to say this is the next day. This is the next night. The next day, they come in and they're like, we're just here to check on you. Dr. O was like, I see you made it in. And they're like, we just want to let you know that if it was not for your meconium and your water, and if you would have tried to have this baby at home, your baby would have died from suffocation and you would have bled out. Like, even given with what my doula taught me, she said if the baby has shoulder dystocia, she taught us how to recognize it. And she said all that you can do is get in all fours, put your head down and put your butt in the air, and call 911 and hope to God that they get there when they're supposed to get there.
Yeah.
And
the doctor told us the next day, he said it wouldn't have been enough time.
He said there was no. He said Dr. O said not a lot of doctors, they don't do it that fast and think that quickly and just know what to do to save that baby's life. And he said not everybody can do that. And Dr. O agreed. Like, I'm not sure that I would have been able to react that fast in order to save your baby and your life. And if you would have done that at home, you would have bled out and your baby would have suffocated, and there would not be 2 of you here today. Mm-hmm. And so, like, you just sit back and you're like, wow, like, by the grace of God. If it was not for the meconium and the water, we would not be here today. And that's mind blowing. We really would have tried to do that at home. And
I ain't never thank God for poop so much.
You are so annoying.
I mean, like, not to be playful or whatever, but like literally, like,
that's what saved our life.
my baby pooping in the water saved her life.
And she said okay. And so while Charlie is getting her life together over there in the incubator, literally, Dr. Akers she's down there working, she's sewing me up. And she's like, she saw my birth preference that I wanted to do skin to skin. So she's like, do you want to do skin to skin right now? And I was like, no, wait till you're done sewing me up or whatever. And with Josiah, I literally remember Dr. Noble being like, hey, you have a little tear, so I'm just gonna sew you up. And as he's saying this, he's sewing me up, and I could feel the strings, and he was done. Like, he was like, hey, as I'm he's sewing me up, and by the time he finished that sentence, I just remember a little tie, and that was it. So as she's asking me, do you want to do skin to skin while I'm sewing you up? I'm like, no, I'll wait. And so she's like, okay. And so she goes back to explain to me everything that just happened. So I'm laying there, and while she's sewing, I'm staring at them, but I'm listening to everything that she was telling me that happened. Because mind you, I also looked down and saw blood everywhere. So I guess she saw the look on my face, and she's like, let me explain to you what happened. So she's explaining to me everything that just happened, because mind you, I still had this mindset of, I don't know why y'all was tripping. It wasn't like, hello. And so, yeah, she's explaining to me everything that happened. And I say a good 10, 15 minutes go by, and I'm listening, but I'm like, girl, give me my child. Like, can y'all bring the baby over here? Like, what's going on? I'm not saying this, but I am thinking it. And clearly she's a good face reader, because she's like, do you want to go? She asked me again, do you want to go ahead and do your skin to skin? I was like, no, I'll wait till you're done. And so she's like, we about 30 minutes into this. She's like, I have about another 45 minutes to go. I was like, excuse me,
yeah,
what?
Because she didn't know. So she was like, listen, she's like, you tore, it's like a 4th degree tear. She's like, I'm only done with the first layer. Like,
yes, that's exactly what she said. She was like, I'm only on layer 1. She said, I still have 3 more layers to go. You have a 4th degree tear.
So Laura was like, oh.
I was like, oh, bring me my baby. Yeah. And so I did my skin to skin while she's still explaining to me what happened. But listen, we're not doing this no more. What? 4th degree? She told me, she said, if you ever get pregnant, I said, I won't. Don't worry about it. She was like, but if you do, no girl, you're not listening. I won't. That was it. She said, I would suggest a C-section, because, and I would, whoever's delivering your baby, I would suggest that you have a C-section, and I would let them know that it was a 4th degree tear.
So yeah, it went from like literally this long, drawn out labor with like no action to a action-packed thriller movie in like 15 minutes.
Okay.
So it was like, you
want
a baby? Yeah. We in that thing. So yeah, it was crazy. But like we said, man, by the grace of God, our baby girl is here. She's healthy.
She's here. She's here and she's healthy.
We're gonna introduce you to her.
She's here. Say hey.
Say hello, world.
Hey, girl. Hey.
This is Charlie.
This is Charlie.
Charlie.
And Josiah. Charlie. So yeah, but that's our birth story. I feel like we're forgetting something. Leaving anything out? The doctor told me that the next day she came in and she told me, she said, I do want you to know that it's very evident that you took care of your body. Your placenta looked amazing. She said, I haven't seen such a healthy looking. Like, she was like, I don't know what you did, but your placenta looked amazing. And you can tell that your body was up for everything that it took. And I'm so godly proud of that. Like, so happy for that. But yeah.
So now this is us, our little family of 4.
Our family of 4 now, which is still taking some. She'll be 4 months next week.
Mm-hmm.
I'm still trying to get used to it.
And I'm 6.
And Josiah is 6. His birthday was yesterday.
Big 6.
But yes, thank you for tuning in and staying this long. Go ahead and subscribe, and to get all of the love and the joy and the kisses from me and my little family. And that is it. Thank you for tuning in to Lauren GTV.